Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band. When we did that whole day was a really tough day for me because he had fired the monitor engineer that morning. So I had to do
Right.
two things.
The path that people find Prince through now, it's usually that "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" video. And that's one of
Yeah.
the few times where I saw him share a stage with someone, who was well known, in that case, several people,
Yeah.
where he actually pulled out and delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the story of that Michael tells Michael Bland of Steve Vai coming and jamming with him and Sonny, but
Yeah.
Prince doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't come
Yeah.
down to the soundstage. So
Yeah.
where do you think he was on that? Did Do you think he was ever frightened of standing? Because I would have loved to have seen him at like the Crossroads Guitar Festival,
Yes.
and go toe to
Yeah.
toe with a lot of those blues guys.
Well, he wasn't afraid. I'll put it this way. He wasn't afraid of anyone when he had his band with him,
Yeah.
when he was performing with his band. And I'm not saying that he was afraid then if he just went on stage with someone
Mm.
that was going to try and trade fours with him, you know,
Yeah.
trade 4-bar solos. Like I think that this is only my guess, but I would say he was just always in command when he had his band with him. They would go anywhere that he could take them anywhere that no other band could. They just
Mm.
couldn't. But he knew that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band, when we did that whole day was a really tough day for me because he had fired the monitor engineer that morning. So I had to do
Right.
two things at once. I was very busy that day running around. And then there was the time pressure, and then all the celebrities were there and all waiting for their turn and trying to get him sound checked and done. And but I remember him not being affected at all by that stuff. I think
Mm.
he knew that that was a safe band. They were just gonna play and let him. This is Prince, man. I don't care if it was Tom Petty. He was like, "That's Prince. I'm just gonna let him go as long as he wants."
Mm.
And then they started to come in and say, "As you are." They just would do
Yeah.
those single lines and let him go. And I was
Yeah.
glad to see that he was able to stretch it as long as he wanted. I'd be interested to know how long that solo was. It's got to be hundreds of bars long.
Yeah.
And it was a long, long solo. And he was able to develop a theme. And
Mm.
it felt to me during that solo that he started to develop, that he may be bringing it to a conclusion. And then he just never looked back and did one of those, like, I'm done. And the
Mm.
band wasn't going to shut Prince down. So he just kept not looking at them. And then he was like, well, I'm just going to keep going. So it was a little
Mm.
bit of that because we didn't rehearse it
So
that long. It didn't rehearse that long for sure.
yeah. So I've got two things absolutely about that. The first one is I've heard the real mix, or a different mix of that sound, because they have
Oh,
it playing at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland.
oh,
It's part of something that Jonathan Demme had put together before he passed. Um, and you can
interesting. I
hear
didn't know
the
that.
other guitarist, who is Mark Mann, who plays for Jeff Lynne
Yeah.
and ELO.
Yeah.
You can hear him start to trade licks against what Prince is playing at the end.
Mm.
Now, that's completely absent of what people hear on the internet, and it sounds like Prince has run out of ideas, and they're just going to wrap the song up.
Yeah.
And in reality, he's actually giving space to that guy doing what he's doing. And I think it's
Interesting.
crucial that it's missing, because everybody people who are fans in those comments accuse Prince of grandstanding and showboating.
Mm.
And if they heard the real mix, where he makes room for the other guitarist to play with him, it kind of
Interesting. Yeah.
dispels all of that. So that's the first thing I just felt like mentioning. But the second is a question: the rehearsal. What's the real story of that? Did he get trodden over and didn't ever actually have an opportunity to do the solo?
No, I don't think he wanted to do the solo. I think he was just going to leave room for it, and then he would know what to do. And he was relying on them to know what to do when he did what he did.
Right.
You don't want to give it all away. And he was fully aware of he was acutely aware of his effect on people, and he knew he'd be able to do whatever he wanted during that performance. And uh, people forget that we had a whole NPG, we had a whole show that we did. I don't know how long it was, half an hour or maybe longer, maybe an hour show. It wasn't maybe an hour, but we did our own set. And so
Yeah.
that was all at some point, and we had rehearsed it as well, or sound checked it. So I just thought he didn't want to give anything away. They were under time constraints. I know that because I kept hearing from producers, we got to go, we got to go.
Yeah.
And I had to run back and forth out to where the monitor desk was in the hallway and actually change things myself and run in. And I usually never run. I don't think it looks good and it looks professional to run. It looks like there's always a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell technicians, if a mic stand breaks, don't run out there, man. Just walk out and get it and put the new one up, and always keep your back to the audience. Don't turn toward like there's stuff that just was kind of cool and that I learned from Prince, like how to do it.